Blog Talk Radio.
Hi everyone, this is Camille from sunny California, and you're listening to the Coffee Chat with Camille show, which is the podcast series that interviews various guests about real-life topics for people who love to learn. Hi everyone. Our topic today is Inspiration, Entertainment, and Tips for Aspiring Authors 2023 with Sarah Humphreys. Sarah lives in Lehi, Utah, and is a diehard fantasy nerd that can't stop talking about dragons and anime. She's trying to get through school by creating her own worlds and characters and has written 6 novels. Her latest is YA fantasy or YA fantasy romance novel, Stone Cold, containing 308 pages of clean reading and published through Morgan James in New York. She makes friends, but only with people who can stand her habit of constantly talking during movies to critique the plot. Her memorization of the How to Train Your Dragon Wikipedia page and a monologue explaining why Doctor Strange is obviously the best avenger. She has left her contact info, or website rather, for the audience at sarahhumphreys.com, and we do have her on the line, okay? Hello, Sarah. Thank you so much for waiting.
Hi. Yeah, thank you for having me
Hi.
on.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I'm so happy to have you on. Could you do me a favor? I did do your introduction, but could you please give a little background about your becoming an author?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Being an author is something that I've kind of always wanted to do. It's one of my hobbies. I love writing. I love stories and adventures. And when I was 15, I was able to go into a writing program for people who wanted to become published, and it was led by a New York Times bestselling author. And she basically brought all of us together as students and taught us how to write books. And it was really fun, but also really terrifying because I was 15. And all of the other people were like 30 and 60 and had kids my age. So I was like, hey, don't kill me, all right? I had braces on. It was a mess. But I was able to learn a whole lot, and I could pitch my book to some agents that this author knew personally, and I got accepted by one of them. So it was very, very terrifying and nerve-wracking, but exciting.
Yes, congratulations to you. I did see your article that you had sent me. It's not really an article, but it was a report done by, was it your local news station or by a news station? And it was just so adorable. I just loved, you were just so happy and you were beaming, and I was like so happy for you and your dad too. So it was just really, really inspiring, to say the most. So you're welcome. How has anxiety impacted you, and what have you found helps you?
It's impacted me a lot. I have a lot of social anxiety, so it's kind of hard to talk to people sometimes. But it's great because I'm an author. I don't have to talk to people out loud. I can just do it through my writing. It's fantastic.
Yes.
But so writing is something that I've been doing to help me with my anxiety for a very long time. It's really nice. Like, I can just go into a different world and be relaxed for a little bit and not worry about this one.
Yes. And then what obstacles did you have to overcome in order to get nationally published at 16?
Well, I didn't know anything at all.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about publishing, and so I kind of had to be very open-minded about the whole process. I had to be very teachable because the whole program that I went through, they taught me how to market and how to like send in query letters and stuff like that. And I didn't know anything, so I just kind of had to be content in my ignorance and just pay attention and listen. And but it was really nice. I learned a whole lot of stuff, and the writing process was really interesting, especially editing. Editing is always really hard when someone critiques your writing.
Yes. And then, how do you think mental health impacted your latest book?
Oh, well, it impacted my latest book a lot because it's a book called Stone Cold, and it mainly has to do with the main character is struggling a lot with self-expression and with her emotions and if she wants to feel them or not. And that is kind of what I was dealing with a little bit when I was 15 and just starting high school, and so it's terrifying, and I didn't exactly know how to act. And so by writing the book, it was kind of cathartic because I could kind of be more self-aware and almost put my own flaws into my poor main character. And as I wrote her story, I was able to find some solutions to the problems that I had. So that was cool.
Excellent. And then what tips do you have for aspiring authors?
Well, writing is very hard, especially motivating yourself to write. It's not really fair because people usually write on computers nowadays because it's a lot faster. But, on the computer, there's something called the internet and YouTube and social media. So I always go on my computer to write, and I get distracted. So don't get distracted. Motivate yourself. I always think that, hey, if you write one chapter today, then you can watch an episode of something that you like, or work on another project, or so. Establishing a reward system is really, really helpful. And a whole lot of people say that they want to be authors, but they can't actually finish anything. And well, you can't get published and send a book out if you don't actually, write the whole manuscript and get it edited. And so if you just actually have the self-control and discipline to write something, you are ahead of 95% of people out there that say that they want to be an author, but they never get past the first chapter.
Excellent. And then what authors inspired you, and what did you learn from them?
Ooh, that one's a fun one. Let's see. I love fantasy. That's just my genre, my niche. I love adventures and dragons, and that's so fun. So a lot of the fantasy authors that I've drawn inspiration from, like Brandon Sanderson, and another one called, I don't know how to pronounce her name, unfortunately, but Tui Sutherland, I believe. And she writes a lot about dragons and stuff. And with Brandon Sanderson specifically, he deals a lot with really complicated magic systems and stuff. I love magic systems. Magic systems are just like the bread and butter of fantasy. It's how your characters interact with the world, it's the powers they have. It's amazing. So, and he makes very, very interesting magic systems. And so I've drawn a lot of inspiration from him because the things that he writes are very unorthodox, and they've taught me a lot about different things that you can have. Like usually it's this person can control fire, but with Brandon Sanderson, it's like this person can eat metal and then have an ability because they eat metal. Like that's just unique. So
yes.
I've tried to adopt that sort of uniqueness in my own writing.
Excellent. And then how do you create new worlds that captivate readers and characters people love and hate?
Ooh. Okay, well, world building is really, really, really fun for fantasy writers. That's why they do fantasy, because they can do whatever they want. And I have 15 ideas where I just created the world, and no plot, no characters, just the world of the book, because it's the most time-consuming and favorite part of the process. But usually with world building, you gotta be consistent, and there has to be some form of realism in this world, which is why, if you're an author, you have to know a little bit about everything. You have to know about religions and economics and why people do what they do. Like, why is there a city there? Is it because religion? Is it because commerce? Is there a resource there? So I've found that with world building, you have to do a lot of research, because if it's more accurate to how things can really exist, then readers will be more likely to it. And so that's with world building. With characters, that's interesting. Character building is really, really interesting for authors, because you're basically creating people. Like, it's thinking, like, who were your imaginary friends when you were younger, and what did they do? What were their abilities, etc. It's fun. It's kind of digging into your imagination and thinking about how people act and why do they do these things. But usually with likable characters, you want to get them to be motivated by something that is relatable and very personal. Like, oh, this person is trying to find their brother, or this person is collecting money because they want to support their family. So just relatable motivations in stories is really helpful to get readers invested into their characters. And to create hateable characters, well, that's kind of easy, because all you need to do is take the likable characters and just pound them into the dust. and take something that the reader really likes and really cares about it and just destroy it. Like, that's the really fun part about being an author, because you can be a murderer and a thief and a genocidal maniac and an arsonist, and it's totally legal. It's totally legal. You can commit whatever war crimes you want, and it doesn't matter, because it's a story.
Excellent. Okay. What are your favorite books? What are your favorite books, and why?
Well, usually my favorite book is just the one that I'm currently reading. But I do have one favorite book that I like, and that one is Six of Crows, because my mom is really worried, but I love characters that are just morally gray. I love characters that are awful people. I probably should do something about that, but in Six of Crows, it basically tells the story of these thieves and that are living in, like, this waste city, like the slums of this city, and this rich guy comes to them and says, hey, if you can, like, go across 2 countries and break this one guy out of prison, I'll give you a whole lot of money, and all of you will be free to do whatever you want. So it's basically just this heist book with 6 people that are awful, but well-written people that you somehow root for, and they go and break a guy out of prison, and it's really fun. That's my favorite book.
Okay, excellent. And then what are the best movie adaptations of books, and why?
Ooh. Let's see. I really like The Giver, that adaptation, because I feel like it simplifies a lot of the world building that was in the book. And also, I really, really like that in the movie they were able to so that deals a lot with, emotions and self-expression, a lot like my own book. That was the main inspiration for my book. And how they let's see, what is the word? How they, like, show the main character, like, getting his emotions back is adding slowly, like, more color into the picture and into the images and scenes in the movie. And that's something that you can't do in a book. So I think that's a really fun adaptation. And also, How to Train Your Dragon is my favorite movie, although I haven't actually read the books. So I don't think I'd be qualified in saying that it's one of the best adaptations, but it's a really, really good movie. So I'm going to say it is.
Okay. I'm curious, what do you think about J.K. Rowling's writing of the Harry Potter series?
Well, I do have a best friend who is obsessed with that series, so
yes.
I do know. Well, I'm a little bit sick of it because of her specifically, but also I do have to say J.K. Rowling's world building is really, really good. Like all the spells and all of the different factions that are in the world, it's really fun. However, there is something that's a little bit unfortunate about Harry Potter, and that is that once it came out, everyone wanted to adopt the like chosen one wizard school kind of trope. And so I read all of those types of books growing up, and then I went back to Harry Potter, and I'm like, oh, this is totally cliche and unoriginal. But it's not cliche and unoriginal. It's like the first story. But unfortunately, a lot of people like think of that because chosen one child who's orphans facing off against a dark lord. Like you've seen that plot before in fantasy novels. But, I do respect the world building though, so that's what I have to say.
Okay, excellent. So I do want to give you a chance to let our audience and listeners know where they can find your books and your social media handle.
Okay. Well, the nice thing about not having the book self-published is that you can find my book anywhere. So it's not just on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble and Google Play and wherever you usually buy your books. It's fantastic. And let's see. I am on Facebook and Instagram, and usually with those, you can just put in my name and then find me, although my name is kind of interesting to spell because the last name is Humpherys. I was very surprised I spelled it right on the cover of my book, but that's how you spell my last name.
Okay, excellent. So I want to thank you so much for stopping by this show. You're just a delight to have on, and I really appreciate your perspective and your insight, about what you do. And you're obviously awesome at it, and I look forward to hearing so much more about you. May I ask what you're up to right now before I say goodbye, please?
Well, right now I'm working through one of a book series that I've already read before. It's called Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians. It's very fun. And then I'm working on the sequel to the book that I've already published that came out earlier this year.
Wonderful. Excellent. Okay, so this is our first teenage author who is published in New York. Hey, I love New York, New York. Okay, thank you so much, Sarah. And I look forward to talking to you again and also looking out for you and seeing what you're doing next. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye for now. Okay, everyone. That was the wonderful Sarah Humphreys. She's absolutely amazing. And I forgot to read under her link. Let me see here. She left us her link. It's Sarah Humphreys. And she did specify that Humphreys is spelled with an ERYS.com. So it's sarahhumphreys.com. And it's new YA fantasy, or I don't know if it's YA or YA. I forgot to ask her. YA or YA fantasy romance novel, Stone Cold, in all ebook formats, paperback, and at all your favorite bookstores. It's also online, one more time, at Sarah Humphreys, Humphreys spelled with ERYS.com. Okay? And Sarah so far has been on, I think including me, 24 podcasts. So you can hear even more about her, probably on the other podcast as well. Again, our title today was Inspiration, Entertainment, and Tips for Aspiring Authors. So if you want to become an author or you're in the process of being one, it's really great to find you a mentor like Sarah, or find you, read their books and understand the process of becoming an author. There's quite a few steps, and but once you complete them, right, like she said, once you complete your manuscript, right, that's about 95% of the work, and then editing and everything else. But I am so thankful to have had her on the show. Again, she's nationally published, and she just will inspire and entertain. She inspired and entertained me completely because she has such a wonderful personality too. I forgot to see if she has a podcast, but I'm not really. I don't think so, but she may. I don't know. Okay. So for now, I am going to thank you, audience and listeners, for listening to my show today twice, right? I had Alan Paul on earlier, who was magnificent, brilliant tips about creativity and Christianity. And then he also gave, for me, some wonderful tips. So I'm actually going to, as I said earlier, I'm going to go back and listen to his podcast again. And actually, if you are ever just looking to take a day and listen to a really good podcast, I think that I try to give you all the best content I can with some really outstanding creators, and in various genres, by the way. But I think I try to be very self-conscious about that, and a lot of positivity and uplifting messaging. And I think, I do have a guest coming on tomorrow. We're going to be talking about health. Okay, so I think health, and then I will have a film director on. Okay, and I'm not going to drop who he is, but if you go to Blog Talk Radio and then Coffee Chat with Camille, I'm not sure if it's Camille's show or just Camille, but I think it's just Camille. You'll be able to see my upcoming guest, all right? And then I think I'll attempt to, around 5 o'clock today, which is December 29th, I will go ahead and read off my upcoming guests. I have about 20 coming into the studio to talk to all of you, talk to me, but to talk to all of you, and hopefully inspire you to be your better self, to be your most creative self, right? That's very important. And to make every day count. Also, I'm kind of checking out some really wonderful artists that are on YouTube. And eventually I'm going to have probably a week of nothing but fine artists, or just artists in general. There's one, she's pretty amazing. I don't have her name in front of me, but what she does do is she creates journals, and she makes them from scratch, and they're lovely. I believe she's over in England, so I'll see if I can reach out and get someone on the show like that. If there's anybody or any type of art you want to know about, or design for that matter, I have one scheduled, but I haven't been able to get her here yet, or have the privilege of speaking to her yet, but I hope so. And I also really enjoy costume designers. Those are people who make wardrobing for movies and for television and for whatever it may be, but in particular, costume designers that specialize in doing movie set design clothes. And so I've always wanted to talk to someone who does that for a living. I think that'd be pretty interesting. So I did reach out to a few of them. At any rate, I hope you're doing wonderful out there in United States, Canada, Brazil, Romania, United Kingdom, Germany, France, South Korea, and Japan, and other parts of the world too. I really hope everyone's just living their life and having a wonderful time. So until next time, which is literally tomorrow, I'll talk to you then. And thank you so much again for listening. Bye for now.